All right, well, good morning, sixth graders. We're going a little off the actual curriculum because here we've been talking about negative and positive numbers a little bit, and we actually need to spend some time having you work with positive and negative numbers. And so today's lesson is going to be on adding integers. So sometimes we can add and subtract, multiply and divide positive, negative numbers. Today our focus is going to be on adding. Now, most of this is going to be pretty straightforward, but I kind of want to just give you several of examples, different scenarios, so you can know how to think about them. You're also going to want to make sure you print off the cheat sheet that is posted on Google Classroom along with this video and the assignment. You're going to want to make sure you have that as well, because that's going to cover, again, those things that I'm covering on this video. So first of all, when we add integers, well, first of all, if both numbers are positive, like if I was just doing 2 plus 5, that's pretty basic. When we do positive numbers, we don't usually put a plus sign in front of them. Sometimes you'll see something that looks like that to show that it's a positive 3, where this would be a negative 3. We don't normally do this plus because if there's nothing there, we assume that it's positive. So this is not really something that I want you to get in the habit of doing, because once again, it's just extra signs and it can be very confusing about and cause more likely to make a mistake and so forth. But if we do have a negative number, we will need to put a negative sign in front of it to show that it's negative. And as I've said before, you're also getting to the point here now where you need to understand that a subtraction sign is interchangeable with a negative sign when we start to get into pre-algebra, algebra sorts of things. But anyway, I don't want to veer too far off topic because our focus here for this video is adding integers. When both numbers are positive, like here we have a positive 2 and a positive 5, we just do 2 plus 5 like we normally would. And as you know, 2 plus 5 is 7. So far, so good. Now, if both numbers are negative, let's say, for example, we have negative 4 plus negative 6. And you will notice that I put this second number in parentheses because we want to separate the operational signs. We don't want an addition sign and a subtraction sign right next to each other. So we put the negative 6 in parentheses. All I do is think 4 plus 6. Well, 4 plus 6 is 10, but since both numbers are negative, it's just getting to be a bigger negative. The correct answer here is negative 10. Now, sometimes one number is going to be negative and one number is going to be positive. Let's say, for example, the first number is negative 7 and the second number is 5. So we're negative 7 plus 5. So we do something a little bit different when this digit, the first digit, is negative and it's larger than the second digit. So here's a situation. The first digit is negative, the second digit is positive, but the first digit is actually larger, as we think of 7 being larger than 5. What I do in this situation is I think 7 minus 5. Well, I know that 7 minus 5 equals 2. But the idea is this was at negative 7 and I'm adding 5. I'd have to add 7 to get all the way to 0. So I didn't make it all the way to 0. So I know the actual answer here is negative 2. Now, once again, if the first number is negative, like negative 1, and the second number is positive, like positive 6, and we're adding them, but here our first digit is less. Okay, here our first digit is less than the second digit, which means I am adding enough to get it past 0. I'm only down 1, but I'm adding 6, which means I know my answer is going to be positive. So in this situation, I can think 6 minus 1. Well, 6 minus 1 is 5. So I know that negative 1 plus 6 is 5. All right, now, here we go again. One digit negative, one digit positive, but this time it's the first digit that's positive, 8, and I'm adding a negative 4, making the second digit negative. Well, once again, you think about things a little bit differently. In this example, because the first digit 8 is larger than the second digit 4. So in this situation, what I'm going to think with 8 plus negative 4, the idea is when I add a negative, all I'm doing is subtracting. So in this situation, I'm going to think 8 minus 4. Well, 8 minus 4 is 4. So I know that 8 plus a negative 4 equals 4. All right? Well, now what if one number is positive and one number is negative, but the first number is smaller? So we're going to have 2 plus a negative 7. All right? 2 plus negative 7. Well, what I'm going to think about here with 2 plus negative 7, okay, I know that I'm up 2, but I'm losing 7. So it's actually going to be a negative answer because this digit, the 7, is larger than the digit 2. So what I'm going to think about here is 7 minus 2. Well, I know that 7 minus 2 is 5, okay? But since I know that this answer has to be a negative because this 7 is larger than the 2, even though it's a negative, I'm not thinking about the negative because I know that a negative 7 is actually smaller than a positive 2. But what I'm thinking about here is that the 7 is larger than the 2. I know it's going to be a negative answer, and it's going to be negative 5. All right. Last one we need to talk about. Excuse me, sorry about that. I want to clear my throat a little bit. Last situation we need to talk about is let's say that one number is negative, like negative 7, and I'm adding a positive 7. If one number is negative and one number is positive, but they're the same digit, it's always going to be 0. And it doesn't matter what comes first. I could have 8 plus negative 8, and that also is going to equal 0. So it doesn't matter. Both digits are the same. If one digit is negative and one digit is positive, it doesn't really matter which comes first, the positive or the negative. If they're both the same digit, one is negative, one is positive, the answer is always going to be 0. All right. Next class, subtracting integers. We'll talk to you later, 6th grade. Bye.